Hi, guys, and welcome back again to another episode. Yes, all right. So now I am thinking, I thought that I would do the cognitive profile of each family group. I know I've already done one, but I thought that I would do it again and try a little bit better this time. Yes. Okay, so before we go on, let's bind it with what we already know. So remember that understanding relies on our mind, how we conceptualize an idea, and how we then communicate it. It says a lot about how we view the world and how and why this perception is essential or was essential in that in terms of how that group developed. Yes, obviously, right? So we know that the West became the first technological powerhouse, but that is explained by the mind and what they did, what Indo-Europeans did, which was to deduce, right? To deduce and compartmentalize ideas and concepts. Before I continue on and actually say that, before I continue on this video, I need to also distinguish between an idea and a concept. Okay, this is very, very important. So an idea is pertains to something that exists, something that exists in existence and that we all can agree upon. Okay. I know that this is not the definition of everyone else, but this is the definition of our language. Our language is defining it this way. And it is saying that ideas exist and are experienced in reality as a man or a woman, but concepts don't. Concepts don't exist, really. They have no existence per se, besides the meaning or priority that we give it. For instance, let's just take an example. Movement is an idea, but time is a concept. Okay, because concept on time only exists in relation to someone, an agent, a reference point. And without the reference point, there is truly no time. There can't be time because everything is just moving and moving and moving. Stars are being born and dying and being born and dying, and everything is just moving. So that movement exists and is an idea, but that time is our concept of it. I remember what concept is. Concept is to conceive, to be pregnant. To conceive means to be impregnated with something, to take it in and make it into something, or describe a feature of it, an aspect of it that can be later used in a practical sense, which is time. So time does not exist per se, but it does exist in our reality or in mankind's world, where we measure movement using time. Yes, that's what we do, right? Okay. So now I've explained the difference between an idea and a concept. Now let's take another one just to strengthen that one. What? Okay. Say yes, 1 and 2, or just 1. 1 is an idea, but 2 is a concept. Because now we are counting more things, so that. But the truth is that all comes from 1. It's a bit difficult to explain. Okay, wait. Let me explain this a bit better. Everything is sensory perceived through your body, right? So that 1, your body is 1, your life is 1, everything about you is 1, right? So this is not a concept. This is an idea. This is the truth. This is something that actually is. Was two is not. Because you can only experience one body at a time, or you can only experience one body throughout your entire life. You can see your mom and dad, you can see your loved ones, you can feel them, you can perceive them, you can sense them, but they will always be outside of you, meaning that you have to conceptualize the other for the other to for you to have words, for you to have words to pertain to the other or to communicate to the other. But the truth is that there is only one life, one body, one being, one man or a woman, and yes, and that's it. One sense. You don't have, yeah, you have more senses, sure, but they are all unified. So yes, okay. I think I was clear there. Well, I think I was quite clear there. Yes, yes. Okay, let's take another one. Let's take another one. Uh, Light is an idea, but colors are concepts. Okay, that was a bit bad. That was a little bit bad because colors are also ideas, but they are literally light that is split. Light is split into colors, right? So that it's easier for us to conceptualize it and make words out of it and understand it better and more nuanced if we divide it, meaning if we conceptualize it. So the truth is there's only light and light is white, right? But then, but then this light splits and spreads, and these splitting and spreadings will naturally create colors. Okay, I think I was clear there now. I can give you many, many more examples, okay, of what is truth and what is a concept. Yes, the truth is I am a man. The concept is I am an Albanian. I am my name, my story. That is the concepts, because the concepts are descriptions. Descriptions, but not really the essence. Yes. Okay. Now let's go on. So I've asked you to make a cognitive and intellectual profile of these. Indo-European, PIE, diversifies into branches. Anatolian, Indo-European with fusional case systems. Sino-Tibetan, topic, comment, solidifies. Semitic and Tibeto-Burman. Amerind Synthesis expands in North and South America. Semitic root and pattern develops in Proto-Semitic. Turkic agglutinative tendencies strengthen in Proto-Turkic. I want to conceptualize the cognitive framework and perception that lies underneath each language group, as it will be the reason each group developed the way they did. Yes. So we're asking for a cognitive linguistic anthropology of deep time. Yes, we are. And what we will discover is that, well, we've gone through this several times now, but let's just finish it. So the Indo-European one, we know that they are fusional and they are case. They use a fusional case system with inflection-heavy grammar. This means that they are relational thinking. Things exist in relation to each other. A case system encodes the role of each element in a sentence, forcing speakers to track who does what to whom. This cultivates a sensitivity to hierarchies, roles, and functional relationships. Yes. The abstraction of roles, the mind is habituated to distinguish between agent, patient, instrument, etc., even without explicit word order. Yes. So we see this, there's a distinguishing happening and things are relational. Okay? Yes. And these case systems mean literally, well, we will look what they mean. Perception of social and cosmic order likely encourages the models of structured order, gods, clans, cosmic laws, or law. Since grammar itself requires strict mapping of relations. Yes, this is where the hierarchy comes in. Now we can also see how the Indo-European were part of the Egyptian era because they were the first to create a hierarchy. Right? And what is a hierarchy? A pyramid. Okay. Yes, intellectual style, systematizing relational hierarchical. Proto-Indo-European thought would likely stress categories of being, subject, object, fate versus agency, and lineages. Yes, yes. But we know that the Proto-Indo-European now is much closer to the Albanian language, and that it is actually closer to the root, a root-based system. Yes. And then we go on to the Sino-Tibetan, a topic comment structure. The core feature here is topic comment structure, analytic syntax. Yes, yes. We see here that the context is pretty much deciding most of the things, and then people comment, or we commented on the context. Nothing was taken outside of the context. Everything was existing together as a unified experience in the Sino-Tibetan family group. Yes. So the contextual cognition, yes. Language is built around what is being talked about, the topic, and then what is said about it, the comment. This foregrounds the shared frame of reference rather than abstract grammatical roles. Relational pragmatism, emphasis on flow of discourse, context sensitivity, and pragmatic coherence over rigid morphology. Yes, there's an emphasis on flow of discourse, context sensitivity, and pragmatic coherence. This is again a very problem solving, but in the moment type of thinking. And everything was always relied or hinged on the context. Thus, nothing was really black and white. Things could swap and move according to where we are now and what is happening, what is the urgency or what is the priority in this very moment. Yes. Okay. Perception of reality. Knowledge is built around shifting perspectives, foregrounding, and harmonizing viewpoints. Intellectual style, it is holistic, situational, pragmatic. Proto-Sino-Tibetan thought would likely emphasize the central theme of a situation and how all else relates to it, resonating with early Chinese philosophy, preference for harmony, relationality, and context. Yes, yes. Now this shows us, right, why why the type of philosophy that they have or that is embedded in their culture, why that came into being. Yes, this is beautiful. All of them are very beautiful. And I apologize for my last video when I said that everybody does not have a philosophy in their language. That is not true. All languages have a philosophy, but some develop to be more practical, some develop to be more metaphorical, some develop in a more poetic sense, and some develop in a more in the present moment spiritual type of sense. Yes, so we have very many different ways of relating to existence. And then we have the Amerind ones. Yes, here we have a polysynthesis, whole sentences encoded in a single word, right? A whole sentence in one word, meaning that nothing is taken out of context. Event holism. So holism means whole, okay? So the event here is important, but all of it, whole, the whole thing is important, not the bits. The bits, the details are not so important, the whole thing is important. Language encodes entire events as compact units, so thought naturally leans towards bundling action, actor, and circumstance together, right? Experiential cognition. Focus on lived processes, sequences of action, embodied experience, rather than discrete nouns and categories. Yes. Perception of reality. The world is seen less as objects in relation and more as events unfolding, with humans embedded within ecological processes. This is very, very beautiful because this is very close to this truth. Remember that the truth is always whole and it is an event that is unfolding. And whether now we begin dividing and disseminating this existence up or not will be the factors that will play into how we develop. Or so they have. Yes. So the intellectual style here is narrative, processual, and experiential, meaning this is very direct. Direct, first person, And plus, obviously, well, bundled. It is bundled. So the proto-Amerind thought is likely orients around myth, cycles, transformations, rather than abstract classification. Yes, this is very, very beautiful. To our native brothers and sisters in North America and South, you have a beautiful philosophy in your language, but you would probably already know that. Okay, and then we have the Semitic ones, the root and pattern morphology. Yes, we've gone through this many times now. Words are built from abstract consonantal roots representing core semantics essences. And patterns inflect relational and grammatical meanings. Yes, so essence abstraction. Here we begin this abstraction, right? This is the root based. But essence has well, essence first. Yeah, well, abstracting first perhaps, and then essence. We will see how it went, what came first between them. But it seems as though abstraction came first because we also followed abstraction, right, in Indo-European before we continued on becoming fictional, whilst they continued on becoming essence based. Yes. So now we have the cognitive bifurcation, clear division between unchanging essence, root, and dynamic expression pattern, mirroring metaphysical distinctions between eternal truths and contingent manifestations. This is now where, remember, idea and concept. Yes, yes. But then they didn't go that way because we did. We went into the concept much, much more than they did. Yes. Perception of reality, a dual vision of the world, stable divine essence versus mortal variability. This aligns with later Semitic intellectual tradition, law, covenant, sacred text. Yes. The intellectual style here is essentialist, metaphysical, dualistic. Yes. Proto-Semitic thought likely emphasized eternal archetypes and their worldly expressions. Yes. And dualistic is also where the reason why they were the first to invent evil and the devil. Yes, the devil, the Antichrist, this was created by the Semitic people because they had the first dualistic mind where they were looking for the unchanging essence and then, well, the contingent manifestations. Yes. And then we have the Turkic ones to finish. Yes, the agglutinative morphology, transparent affix stacking. Here we have a cognitive orientation. It's a stepwise modular thinking. Language is built additively. Each affix clearly marks a function, and layers of affixes build complex meaning. This fosters combinatorial and sequential thinking. Yes, this is now a building block, but in a different way than what we did. This is much more in a kind of more practical. We will see that transparency of structure. Unlike fusional languages, each grammatical step is visible, making cognition align with modularity and clarity. Yes. Perception of reality, a world seen as assemblages and processes where complexity emerges from the stacking of simpler parts, like horse, rider, weapon, terrain, equals battle. So intellectual style, pragmatic, modular, constructive. Proto-Turkic thought would lean towards adaptability, clear sequences, and modular organization, which is what they did because they were nomads and they were mobile societies for a very long time. Yes. So things were stepwise in their language. Okay, now we have the comparative cognitive matrix. Yes, we see that now. We've gone through them. Perception of order. Yes. Intellectual bias. We are in the Indo-European, we are systematizing. The Sino-Tibetan are holistic. The Amerind are experiential. The Semitic are metaphysical. And the Turkic are pragmatic. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Now it will just go into a bit further here, but I am going to now just go through the photos again, just to, well, I thought that I will go through the Albanian here as well before we go on, actually. Let me just include the Albanian, and the Uralic, sorry. So the Uralic as well. Here we have the Uralic mind moves like a navigator across landscapes. Cases mark every contour of space into, onto, from under, across. Vowel harmony keeps every word in balance, like a body attuned to the resonance of its environment. The world is a terrain to be traveled, balanced, harmonized with. Metaphor of mind, a map with countless paths and contours. Worldview, landscapes, trajectories, and ecological balance. Intellectual style, cartographer, navigator, and ecological thinker. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Yes. And then we have the Basque one. Here we have the Basque mind, thinks in terms of agency and endurance. Ergative grammar demands sensitivity to who acts and who undergoes, never allowing agency to be assumed. As an isolate surrounded by giants, its thought is also survivalist. A stone bridge resisting floods of time, carrying identity across ages. Yes. The metaphor of mind here is a stone bridge enduring against the current, agency versus passivity, survival versus erasure, intellectual style, boundary keeper, existential survivor, philosopher of agency. Okay, yes, obviously they had to survive. So they have a different type of morphology and grammar. And this is also explained by the grammar. We've gone through it, but we will see it again. And then let's go through the Albanian one. The Albanian is that of a weaver of fragments, descended from Indo-European, yet reshaped by contact with Illyrian, Greek, Latin, Slavic, and Turkish. Its grammar preserves Indo-European roots, but twists them through layers of adaptation. To speak Albanian is to hold fragments together in a living weave. It reflects resilience, synthesis, and the power to absorb without dissolving. Well, not really. It kind of does, yes. Okay, sure. We could say that because it does have all the fragments of very many different languages and even morphologies and grammar. It does that. Sure, it does. But that's not really what I was looking at. I was thinking more about, I was thinking more about that it is both, an Indo-European one and a Semitic one. So there we go. Yes. Okay. And then, all right, guys, and let's continue on again to now the pictures. Yes. Okay, so let's begin from the beginning. Okay, so as you can see now, the Indo-European ones, okay, we are descriptive, linear, and modular. Okay, we have divided everything into a word of its own. As you can see here, everything has a word of its own, and I comes first. I comes first, and then the action, and then you or the object. Okay? This means that, this shows us that we were the first to develop the self, the psychological self, that we, that we know of today. I mean, that has been the biggest factor for our technological development. Yes. Okay. And then we have now the Basque, and they have the opposite. Now the patient comes first, meaning that this is now a different, an opposite one, a vice versa, where now I come last, so to say, so that you come first, and then whatever is being done, and then I. But as you can see, they are also compartmentalized into their own words, so that they've also been part of that concatenation that we see in European. So either they got influenced by us, or they were always part of us during that time, but then they diverged in order. In order. Yes, yes. Okay. And then we have the Sino-Tibetan. Here we see that I doesn't even exist because we don't need I, right? Because to speak, there must be someone there for me to say something. Well, when I say something, I don't need to say I can just say something, right? That is how they perceived it, because now the context is the most important thing. and then what we feel or what we comment about it, and then the object, the patient. So here you see that I almost does not exist even, or is not needed. It's literally just not needed. It's a null subject type of grammar. Yes, 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 yes. But the context here is much more important. But they also have been concatenated. They too have been concatenated because, see, as you can see, they are separate into separate words. They have separated them, right? We know that the Sino-Tibetan are tone-based, but those tones have been now conceptualized. Yes, but that wasn't the case before, perhaps. And then we have the beautiful one, right? Look at this. This is just beautiful. The polysynthetic verb-centered structure. Within one word, right? See the verb, the action is the most important thing, and then we weave in myself, the patient, and the aspect and mode, right, into a complex or a single word. This whole sentence is now within a word. That is very compact, very beautiful, and really goes to show that, well, that our native brothers and sisters in America were very spiritual. They were very spiritual, right? Which explains quite a lot of things. It explains also their spiritual development, and the Mayas and the Aztecs, and their spirituality. Yeah, Navajo, all of them have a deep respect and culture for spirituality. That means for nature, for life, for nature. Spirituality is nature, okay? I know that we have very many different connotations to the word spiritual today, but in essence, spiritual means to be one with the body and nature, which pretty much is the same thing. So that when I'm one with nature, I am one with the body and with everything around me as well, because everything is nature, right? Okay. It's not religion, that's to say. Religion is something else. That is dogma. That's laws, order. That is rules, and judgments. But that is not what spirituality is. Spirituality is presence and knowledge, or so to say, intelligence, because spirituality never takes you away from the truth. Spirituality, it always brings you back to the grass, to the animals, to the water, to the mountains, to the air, to the views, to the forests, to the jungles, to nature, to love, to relations, and everything else that nature is. Yes, yes. Okay, now we explained that as well. And then we have the Semitic ones. Yes, so they were interested in finding the roots, and they were metathesizing. They were metathesizing everything, which is where we got to, or which is how they got to where they got to in terms of finding the absolute. Right? Yes. So remember that they weren't the first they weren't the first to realize the absolute, no, but they were the first to conceptualize it, in a way that would transform how we see the world. Yes. And now we have the Turkic grammar. Yes, here we have also the root, and there we have a lot of suffixes. Suffix 1, 2, 3. All of them can be built together like a building block. They're pretty much like building blocks, even more than the European ones. Yes. And then we have the Dravidian. This is the Tamil one, and they are pretty much very close to. Dravidian languages use agglutination similar to Turkic, but are essentially rich in case marking and reflective phonology, which pretty much means that they have this Indo-European type of case marking as well, right? Yes, they do. But see, now we're quite close to the Dravidian ones, us Albanians, because Albanians preserve archaic Indo-European roots, while showing flexible stem modifications resembling Semitic patterns. It uses suffixes for tense, case, and derivations, but maintains a root-based semantic core closer to non-concatenative systems. Yes. Now just look away from crochet, because I used it in another one, and then, well, I used it in the same thread, but then it conceptualized that word, but it shouldn't have done that. It should have conceptualized the language itself. But as I've already showed you, each consonant cluster in Albanian is a root idea. Yes, and that explains that. Yes. Okay. Yes, that was it. That was it for this episode, and then I will continue on with another one in terms of explaining. I want to explain much more what. Yes, I want to explain some other things as well. Okay. Yes. Let's wait and see what I will bring. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. You are a gem. If you've been able to follow me so far, you are really an angel. Because it takes a lot of stillness to be with me for so long. You can probably imagine, or you probably felt very tired from all this knowledge, because this knowledge is very dense. It is very dense, and it is very subtle and nuanced, meaning that it is very difficult to grasp. We need a lot of knowledge to grasp it. So if I've been able to convey it to you, then I am truly happy. Yes. So yes, I want to thank you for joining me for so long, and for being part of this. In terms of the other video, when I said that, that's what I'm going to explain in the next one. Okay, yes, let's go into the next one. All right, you guys have a good day or evening wherever you are. Cheers. Bye.